We're back for another Better Calls All Yaps episode. I got Eric and JC here. How we doing today, guys?
Can be better, man. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's good to have you guys in the building with me. Let's just get started with some intros. Would love to know a little bit more about each of you guys. If you want to go first, Eric, you kick it off, and then we'll kick it to JC.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Eric. Eriks over on Farcaster. It's pretty much where I spend all my time on socials. I'm from Iowa in the U.S., but I'm nomadic, so I've been moving around for about 3 years. I'm actually in Peru right now. Mainly, I guess for the day job, I help people with their investments, and then I invest myself. And building Fotocaster with JC, and yeah, happy to be on.
Awesome. I love it. What's up, JC?
What's up, Zal? Just waiting for the guy with the leaf blower to pass by. JC, I've been in Farcaster since February 2024. And my entry into Web3 was as a photographer. And that originally started on Twitter. And I didn't really love the environment. And when I found Farcaster, I signed up and I churned. And my friend and collaborator inceptionally, who's also a friend of Eric, DM'd me on Twitter and said, I saw you're on Farcaster. Do you want to co-host I Took a Photo with me? And so that pulled me back in, and I never left.
That's awesome. It's always cool to chat with more people on Farcaster, people building on the social network in Web3. For me, it's been a blast getting to experience. I also churned very early, and then I saw on Telegram a group chat with someone where they were talking AI and popped back in because that group chat had 36 people, and I was looking through the list, and I was like, oh, interesting. There's a couple higher profile names here than I've seen on Twitter that normally you can't get in contact with, right? So that has also been a big part of it for me, of like finding some really just like high up there individuals that you can actually interact with on a day-to-day basis as a solo builder here like myself. So
let me tell you quickly. So like the Web3 question, right?
Yeah.
So I've been in crypto since 2017 in investing in the space, but got, a lot more active in like 2020, 2021.
Makes sense.
And then joined Farcaster in January 2023. So like over 3 years ago now. And I found it through my just curation of newsletters, and I've never left. And I've actually leaned in more just because of all the high signal people that you meet there. Exactly. And then also all of, there's so much creativity from different artists. And so in January 2023, that was back when you had to DM Dan on X to get an invite. It was before it went permissionless later that fall. And it actually ties into what we're doing with Fotocaster, because I was using, I never thought of myself as a photographer at all when I joined back in 2023. Like I didn't even have a camera or anything. But I was nomadic already, and I was using Farcaster as an outlet to share like
journal
random like iPhone photos from around the world, right? And just like, this was back when you might get like 1 or 2 likes on your cast, and one of them's Dan, and then you're having just like a little back and forth conversation. Super tight community, and it stays that way today. So but yeah, I was using it as an outlet, and then I met all these just incredible photographers on Farcaster over the last few years, which has led into what we're doing here with Fotocaster. So,
by the way,
come full
Eric
circle.
was one of our first photo contest backers for I Took a Photo.
Hmm,
And that's how we met.
that's really
Shit,
cool.
I didn't remember that, JC.
Yeah, like we didn't have enough DJs, so we asked you and I were DMing, and also
Yeah.
Brandon. And we had enough DJs in our, I don't know, our allowance at the time to like fund the contest.
Yeah, back in the DJ days.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's really cool to hear always more about the history and the lore of Farcaster, because it's always cool to hear more of those stories. Because using it as an outlet for your photography, not even necessarily like everyone was very focused on like, oh, art on chain, this and that, but it's like no, more in the social context of like, this is a social network, and I want to share what I'm doing out there with other individuals, which I don't think Web3 has gotten. Like we were talking about X and it being more of a place of less signal. I also think it's also like way more businessy. It's like LinkedIn in a sense. It has its own problems because it's a social network specifically for a specific purpose, which is great, but it also makes other things that you might want to do not the best on those specific platforms. So I think Farcaster is an interesting like version of like kind of developers social platform, but also then leveraging other individuals on just creating just their own individuals, like what you were doing with photos on the timeline.
I've always thought one of the things Farcaster does best is like, I know it's cliche to set, but it actually lets you kind of just be yourself. Because on X, like X wants you to be someone. Instagram wants you to be someone. LinkedIn wants you to be someone. They want you to like have a niche and like stick to that niche and don't sway outside of it. And then over on Farcaster, it's like I can share a random photo, right? Or like a actual professional photo. And then the next cast, I could be talking about some random shit that I had for like dinner. And then the next cast, I could be talking about something else that's totally random. And the algo doesn't care. Like it doesn't box you into trying to be one person. You can kind of just talk about whatever you want, build whatever you want, which, yeah, we'll get into with Fotocaster. But
yeah, 1,000,000%. I think it's very valuable because because the fact that anyone can create their own algorithm for creating their own curation of whatever they want to see, because it's all programmable. I think that gives you the option to do anything. And then certain people can choose what they want to see as well, which is really cool. And they could see you from a bunch of different places, not just because like you're such a niche down individual here and they just happen to catch that stream, right? So, but yeah, let's definitely go into Fotocaster. I know both of you guys talked a lot about photography, and how that was an important part of your journey there on Farcaster. How did that lead to the building of Fotocaster?
Jesse, go ahead.
So it's kind of ironic. Like Eric describes being like a TradFi guy who came into Farcaster and he developed his, inner photographer, showing his work on the timeline. I'm kind of the opposite. I came in as a photographer and, formerly co-host of ITAP, and then I took over the Nature Channel, and so I was promoting photography for like a year, and then last year I flipped back to what I do for my professional life, and I wrote Distribution is Hard versions 1 and 2, and then this year I created Founder Check, which is an app that helps builders discover who they're building for quickly so they don't screw everything up, because who is the first thing? Everything's downstream of that. And so I launched that, and I was like, wow, I can launch on Farcaster. I can build an app. Like a week or so after that, I started begging Eric to build on the Farcaster studio because it was so easy. And so all of our like 2 years of complaining about minting our work and all the problems we have as artists, we sort of shut up and started building. And that was what, 3 weeks ago, Eric? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To kind of go into it. So like I said, a few years ago, just sharing photography. Come like spring 2024, there was a big wave of people that joined Fotocaster because you had both frames, which launched, and people were interested in those. And then you also had the whole DGen thing, where DGen ran up to like $1 billion. And some of the tipping stuff back then was just nuts. Like, and it brought in a lot of, both those things, and the wave of people and the excitement that spring brought in a lot of artists and a lot of photographers. And kind of going back to like other social, like I wasn't seeing like professional photography on my Instagram or on X or anything, because I wasn't clicking, like it wasn't being shown to me. So it was really like the first time that I had just seen like all this incredible art and photography and stuff in Fotocaster on the feed, and like really started to kind of promote the like those people that were joining, because they were putting out incredible work, and so like got to know a lot of these people over the course of 2024. And similar to what you were saying, Zal, before it started, like I had always, once I actually got my camera in like August of 2024, I knew I wanted to like put my stuff on chain as easy as possible. But there's all these different options. They have all these different take rates. Like they don't integrate that well with Farcaster, which is where I wanted to share it. And it was never about like making money for me. It was more like, I feel strongly that like photography and art and these types of things, and really anything that's put out digitally or created, should be preserved in the best way possible. And like the reality is blockchains preserve things as far as better than other, centralized servers or databases right now. For example, we don't know for certain if, the stuff will be around 100 years from now, but like, we got to give it a shot, right? Because if we could look back 100 years prior, we would love to be able to see everyone's photos that they've taken, right? It's like, that's really cool. So like, I think of it more of the archival standpoint versus like just the distribution or like the investment side. And so when, NFTs really started to pick up steam in like 2021, 2020, people were making money on them. So it was like viewed as more of an investment opportunity or a trade, but also like as a way to kind of express yourself, right? Or like fit into a community. So over the years, like over these couple of years, started to form like more of a thesis that like, we have to separate what an NFT is and what putting something on chain is from selling it. Like not everything is a marketplace. Not everything needs to be an investment. Some things can just be collected, because we have a thesis that like humans like to collect things. Like I collected baseball cards as a kid. Like they still sit in a storage room, like we have photo albums in our basement. We collect all these different things, right?
My card's right here.
Yeah, exactly. So, like not everything's an investment. So it started with that thesis in mind. But over, 2024, 2025, really, I like JC and I built this for ourselves because we're like, we don't have an easy way to put things on chain. We don't know what, contracts really we should be using for like to give as much ownership to ourselves as possible. And if we do decide to like, we're separating the minting process from the selling process, which is how art works in real life. It's like you have an art studio, and then you have an art marketplace, and then you have an art gallery, and you have an art like exhibition. These are all different. So like our view is the NFT space should be similar to that in a lot of ways. But anyway, like we had a ton of frustrations with there were NFT apps, and we also learned from them. So it's good. It's a good thing that like we were putting our photos on other apps, and we were, seeing what the take rates were, and we were seeing how little ownership or like how little control we had, which all led into what Fotocaster is today, which is we built an app that just from the highest level, like it gives whoever's putting the photo on chain or the art or whatever it is, it gives them as much ownership, control, flexibility as possible. Like they can title it however they want. The contract, now can't be, it's immutable, so it can't be updated. You also have like people can choose however many editions they want. Could be open edition, could be a price curve, could be one, et cetera, et cetera. And then they can price it however they want. And the thesis actually comes like if we're talking about actually distributing a photo, like where people do collect it, and there is a market for that, which we don't think everything needs to be a market. Some things can just be collected even for free. But if there is a market, then like we think that the market should ultimately decide the value of whatever it is. Like the app doesn't need to like be forcing people into a certain model. And so our view is like you can have defaults and you can make it really simple, make it really easy so people put their stuff on chain to preserve it. But at the same time, like give people all the flexibility that they want. Let them showcase the art how they want. So anyway, it's a long-winded, but like that's kind of the whole background of what led into this. So
No, I love it.
I mean, it's all based on the human desire to collect, and Erik's example was our model. Like baseball cards are a perfect example of a market where people collect stuff, and these people collect baseball cards. And so you may have a large baseball collection that you haven't looked at, right? And then you could take it up a notch. Now you're buying and selling or trading, but that's a different kind of collector, right? And the market's based on widespread distribution, so that the average person is the collector, and then there is a much smaller community of people who are trading.
1,000,000%. I love it. I love it. I'm super excited. I'll show you guys how easy it is. So let me make it a little bit bigger real quick. So this is the mini app Fotocaster right on Farcaster. I just typed in Fotocaster, searched it, and pressed enter. There's a nice big plus button here. I can immediately go in, choose a photo. I have this photo. I can give it a title. So this is First Sunrise in the USA.
It's a hell of a shot.
Right? Oh. It's a Cadillac Mountain.
Oh,
shoot.
I like Cadillac Mac. Yeah.
Oh, man, my spelling's not the best, so I apologize, guys. Mountain.
Did you ride a bicycle up there?
No, we drove. We very much drove. Let me get the date, since I actually just pulled this from my Google Photos. November 9th of last year. Let me actually just...
I do the same thing where I'll put in the dates, location, and stuff. Because so now the metadata.
Exactly. That's why that's you get me like to actually go and look for that for one more time, so I don't ever have to look for it again.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's good. Gotta add as much detail.
Yeah, the goal here is just make it so people don't have to think, right? To put things on chain. They just, you might have to look up a date, but
No, I love it. No. Sorry. Yeah, I'm being a perfectionist about this one. I'm not gonna lie, because I've always just pressed enter here because you can just rock out what the default setting is, which I really like. It's cool. It's open edition starting at 5 cents and then rising with each collector. But you give the option for an individual to choose all of these different options, right? Open fixed price, limited edition, limited fixed price, one of one, and self mint, right? And I think that's super powerful. And you're mentioning a lot more about that self mint part of it all, right? I don't know if you want to say any words before I.
Yeah, I think here, this is where it's like make it easy for people to upload the photo and publish it, but give whoever's putting it, like you in this example, as much freedom as possible for the quantity, for the price, and then also like we have collectors only drops now, which were requested. We have timed editions, so you can say this is only open for the next, and you can kind of like pair these things together, so you can actually have timed plus collector plus so they all kind of they're all interoperable, and we'll eventually have like auctions and stuff here too. But for right now, it's, some of these more basic options.
Amazing. So yeah, I'm just gonna rock it as a self mint for now. And we'll do 3. I love it. Boom.
Yeah. So in this example, when you click mint up there, top right, it'll mint those directly to your own wallet.
Amazing. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done this one as the example. I'm sorry, guys, but we'll do another one. I have another photo of my downloads as well. It's super easy, right? So I'm going to go into albums in main, and I think you guys just recently added this today or yesterday, right? So very awesome, nice and easy, and boom, it's out there.
Shows the contract. Yeah.
And now we can give a quick example.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's reference.
Yeah.
Here's a shot.
Is that Maine too?
It is not. This was in New Hampshire.
Man. That northeast corner is like one of the few places I haven't been.
Oh, come visit. You're welcome. We're having an event in Maine, October 3rd. So you should definitely join. Yes, sir.
No shit.
Added to Ash Mountain. And so I'm going to leave this one as this open edition, not change anything, and press publish.
That's one thing with the price curve we actually thought about. That's kind of a new example with NFTs. We thought like it all goes back to wanting the market to decide. And so you have with the price curve, you're pairing an open edition. What's that saying?
I don't know, but I'll copy it and send it to you for later. I'll do it on. I don't know what's up.
Do we get a min fail during the demo?
Yeah, I think so. And I've never had a problem, but I've also never done it on my computer.
Me neither. But
well, we got an error code, so that's good. I'll rock it over to you, and we can figure it out. But
here, I'll collect it.
Eric, you were on the topic of price discovery.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so with the, I see it showing up here. This last one.
But you can see how easy that is. It's out there. If you do it on my phone is always work. But yeah, we'll get that fixed. And it'll be rocking and rolling. But that was like super easy. Like I just scrolled down actually through my downloads to like quickly find a photo, because I have a lot of random photos in a lot of different places that I've like, some I've wanted to post, some I've posted, right? Like in many different places, right? But this is like really bringing me to like the opportunity of wanting to actually like on-chain mint every single like good photo I feel like I've done in my past, so that I can continue now. Like that can be like a capturing all the past, and then now it's like, okay, now that I have this tool, I can continue to do that as I like go through my life, right? So
yeah.
So one of the things with that, we've just 2 weeks ago, Fotocaster launched, and we actually have like a little analytics tab down at the bottom of your profile that shows like in just 2 weeks, we've had 4,000 different times someone's collected a photo. There's been 371 unique people who have put photo or art on Fotocaster. And then we think it's really cool that there's 371 for people that have put photos on, but 787 people, unique people, have collected a photo. So double, like the collectors are double than the creators. Obviously we want both to grow, but like that's a really good signal in like having 4,000 photos collected in just, 2 weeks. Like I showed, like I sent, these over even to like Jesse because the photos are on base. Yeah, and he loves it. It's like, this is the type of thing where you can potentially see how like just these on-chain components, it's a simple app. It almost looks like Instagram in a way, but has more like custom, it can be more customized. But like it makes sense to be able to collect someone's photos, right? Especially if it's like 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever it is. Because it's also like we think of it as a way to support people. Farcaster is a super supportive network in general. So yeah, sure. Like some of these photos are coming from like legit professional photographers that have 6-figure followings on other apps, and like we're collecting their photos for 25 cents or 50 cents, whatever they're putting it at. And so like, sure, there's the potential that some of these rise in value longer term. Like some of them have done like limited editions where there's only 10 available. And these are like legit professional photographers. And so like, yes, there can be still that, like, you could think how, 1% of the photos might or less might actually rise in value, but it's separating, like, that's not the reason for collecting. Like it also makes it so you can just support like your friends, who are putting photos out there. So
I love it.
yeah.
That's a perfect way to share that. JC, do you have any things to add?
I think it was a good moment for us to put up or shut up, and having done it, it feels good to see it in the world, right? The business model that an app like this typically exists in typically has backers who are expecting return, right?
Exactly.
And we created an app, that we wanted for ourselves to share with other people who have, the same problems we do, and treat it more like a community good until we figure out how it's going to exist in the world, on a long-term basis.
Awesome. I love it. I have one question actually that I realized I wanted to make sure I ask before we get out of here. Where are you storing it, the photo? Like how are you storing it?
We have a hard drive in Walmart in New Jersey.
It's on IPFS right now, both the photo and the metadata. But we've already, like, that's actually kind of the last piece that we have to figure out. We know Arweave would work for this. We've thought about, like, I talked with Big Tone, for example, like on the feed, like knowing that we need to, have that conversation sooner rather than later. We have to figure out the best way to make it self-sustaining though. because right now artists are getting 99% of the profit. If you can, like, if they sell a photo, 99% goes to the artist, 1% goes to actually straight back to the deployer wallet, which like funds, so it makes it free to be able to put photos on chain. So like the deployment itself, you don't pay when you put a photo on chain. The collection, you pay 1% back to that wallet, so more photos can get put on chain. So it's like this more like self-sustaining loop that we're still trying to figure out the like correct what that fee needs to be so
Yeah.
it can self-sustain itself and be like that public good. But you know, with that, obviously, like we've thought about how, you know, how to let an artist, for example, let's say they have NFTs elsewhere, right? How do we help them bring those into their albums too? Not just stuff minted on Fotocaster. So like make it more of like a place where you have full on-chain. You can express all your creativity as an artist. You can basically do everything in there. Like we've already talked about like prints, in real life prints, right? Like we have photographers and artists that are interested in that, like selling. Think like if you go to a professional photographer's website or an artist's website, for example, whatever they can do in there, that's what we want them to be able to do on their profile in Fotocaster too. So that's kind of like the more longer term vision, and just, you know, figuring out the best way to make it self-sustaining so it can actually turn into, like JC mentioned, more of like a museum feel or like an exhibition where it's like, yeah, there's ways you can sell your art here if you want, but it's really about the preservation and like about being able to showcase it in the way you want, which is why we just created albums, right? So that's just some deeper thoughts there. We have a ton of things we're gonna keep adding to it. So
amazing. I love it. I'm super excited to post more photos. Do you guys want to give everyone where people can find you guys?
yeah, sure. So my username on Farcaster is Eriks, Eriks. My X is Eriks X. It's in my Farcaster profile. I need to be more active over there, but like I said, I'm kind of just focused on Farcaster. And then I have an Instagram too. It's like Eric P. Smith. So there's but yeah, like I would say Farcaster by far and away is where I share most of my stuff. So
Awesome, JC.
By the way, I'm not hearing Zal at this point. So Eric, you have to translate.
just where to find you.
Farcaster X at JL Colton. Same thing on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It was an absolute pleasure. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening in. Shout out to everyone who popped in and listening after. So see y'all